everyone. For my book talk today, I'm going to be talking to you about the Songs of Chaos, written by Michael R. Miller. Currently, this is a 3-book series, but it's going to be so much more. This book series takes place in an alternate reality type thing. It's not here on Earth. It follows the story of Holt, as you can see on our covers, and his dragon Ash. To give you a little bit of backstory about the world that Holt lives in, I want you to think of kind of like medieval times. That's about technology advances this area is. And we're in a land of lords and ladies and cooks and the lowly born and all of that fun stuff. And Holt is the son of a cook, which to mean he's not very high up on the list. In the story, we find out that he's kind of like the dish boy. He washes all the dishes because he's not old enough to cook yet. And in the story, dragons are bounded with humans. You got the wildfly, and then you got the ones that work with the dragon riders. And their job is to protect people from the scourge. And the scourge is these giant bugs. And I want you to think of all the creepy crawly bugs you can think of, from a wasp to a cockroach to ants to beetles. And I want you to imagine them being the size of a school bus. Like massive creatures. That is the scourge. And the scourge releases this awful disease that, if left untreated, can turn people into zombies. And then the scourge can then rise the dead. So if the people who've been killed by the scourge, have been burned, then they can come back alive and can be these ghouls that'll chase people down and all. And so the dragons work with the humans as dragon riders to go and fight off the scourge, because humans alone are just not enough. And as you can tell by the fact that Holt, a lowly cook, has ended up with a dragon, something has happened. So we have Ash, and Ash's egg was seen as kind of like a bad egg. And it was supposed to be destroyed, and that's how our young cook son found it. And when he hatched, as you can probably guess by looking at the images, what he found was a young dragon who was blind and was white as snow. And so he named him Ash. And these are the adventures of Holt and Ash. And where our excerpt of the story happens is we see them on the road trying to get to the capital. To kind of warn them that something's going on. The scourge is acting funny, and things aren't what they seem. And so what we see is it's Ash and Holt, and they're on the road with Master Broyd, who is now a dragonless rider. His dragon had been killed. And then Princess Talia and her dragon Pyra, who have gone to try to help fight. So here we are. Before Holt considered it further, the pull across the dragon bond became too much to resist. He wrestled himself from observing the battle and ran for Ash, finding the dragon hiding under a weapons cart and shaking like a traumatized little cat. "Hey, it's okay. Holt reached out a hand for Ash to sniff and find. Ash pressed his snout into Holt's palm and the scattering wild beating of the bond calmed, but not by much. Holt gulped, unsure what to do to help. "What happened to that fierce dragon who helped me move the giant table in the kitchens?" Ash growled, but said nothing. "And when I trained with Master Broyd, you told me to prove them wrong. Where's that dragon now?" A fresh tremor ran down Ash's spine and through his tail. I'm not ready to fight." "You won't have to fight them." Ash froze. His whole body went stiff. "Holt, the scourge are close." "What? They're coming fast." "How can you tell?" But before Ash could say anything, the remaining soldiers guarding the baggage train called out to each other, "Scourge approaching! Ready yourself!" Holt ran out to see for himself. This couldn't be. The scourge? They're drawn to the densest collection of people, to cities and armies. Their swarms don't think strategically. Yet the moment Holt returned to his previous spot and looked across the battlefield before Midbell, he saw the truth for himself. A line of shambling ghouls had broken off from the main swarm, scores of them, and they were moving at speeds no human could maintain if alive. They were heading right for Holt and the baggage train. Worse, there were stingers flying above, survivors of Pyra's initial assault. Holt searched desperately for the purple dragon, but Pyra and Talia were pursuing the giant flayer and hadn't even realized that these had sprung away. More scourge separated from the main flank host, flanking the infantry, heading for the exposed archers. No one had thought that this would be dangerous. The light cavalry of the Galverson had committed to an attack already, and they couldn't disengage quickly enough. The scourge forces, the supposedly mindless, animalistic force of natures, were outmaneuvering the garrison. Holt's heart pounded so hard he thought his ribs would crack. The soldiers nearby drew their swords, and though they stood half-heartedly as lost and confused as Holt, this wasn't supposed to happen. No one had trained for this. There had never been a situation like this. Civilians screamed as they realized what was coming. Holt's body reacted before his mind did. He ran. He ran fast back to Ash's cart before he could think properly. "We have to go." Ash scurried out and clung to Holt's side as they fled. Now screeches of the scourge mixed with the scraping steel as they engaged with the soldiers. With so few defenders, most of the ghouls sped right past the baggage train. Holt ducked as buzzing overhead signaled the arrival of a stinger. The wasp buzzed on ahead, swooping down on a lone soldier, caught unprepared. Its great stinger pierced chainmail as though it was just butter. Ash wailed, his breath became ragged, and his shame was palpable across the bond. At least they would be together when the end came. As they ran back to the baggage train, Holt ran past the wagon containing his, Bro's, and Talia's supplies. He caught himself, wheeled about, intending to catch his father's rescue if he could. "Keep running!" he yelled, not stopping to see if the dragon kept going or not. Before reaching the wagon, a ghoul lumbered in front of him to block his path. What this person had been in life, Holt could not say for sure. A man judging by his side. A ragged tunic hung torn and limp from its bony frame. Perhaps he had been a farmer or a farmhand, for it carried a bloody sickle. His pale, lidless eyes fixed upon Holt, and the ghoul opened its rotten mouth and screamed. Holt came to a halt. I don't know. What happens? What happens next? We're going to have to read it to find out. Does Holt make it to the city? Does he survive this attack? Do we get to see Ash grow up? Do we get to see what kind of powers this white dragon will have? Will he be able to fly without his sight? All of those questions are asked in this series. I hope this inspires you to read these and makes you want to learn more about this Song of Chaos series. If you're a fan of the Eragon